Hello and welcome to a look at the Amiga version of Saint Dragon, an arcade conversion released by the Sales Curve for virtually every home computer system available at the time. And the arcade original was done by Jalico. The somewhat unique feature of this game is the fact that you're playing as a dragon, as you can probably see. And the unique thing about that dragon is the fact that its body is completely impervious to damage. Only the head is vulnerable. So basically you have a shield that you can encase your vulnerable dragon head in, making you impervious to small shots and small enemies. Things like beam shots and larger enemies will still go through the entire body, causing you to lose a life. While the feature is somewhat unique, all in all, it's not that very different from the pods in Salamander. They prevent you from dying by absorbing a hit each, but it is not that different from that mechanic, in my opinion. The pod system in R-Type, I know the shielding was only at the front or the back, depending on where you had the pod placed, but while somewhat unique, I didn't find it to be more than a gimmicky little specialty. Because there's plenty of enemies and plenty of situations where the fact that you can be virtually impervious makes no difference. Because again, it is only to small shots and small enemies, and this game will happily throw a bucket loads of beam weapons at you and a bucket load of large enemies. The power-ups available are not so very different from the power-ups in a game like R-Type. And I'm not necessarily trying to compare this to R-Type because I think that is rather unfair, as I personally consider R-Type to be potentially the best side-scrolling shoot 'em up ever made. That is, of course, an individual opinion. But it is hard not to, when you have a favorite in a game type, to keep referring back to your favorite, because of course, I mean, it is your favorite for a reason, and it is hard not to compare other similar games to your favorite game. I accept the fact that shoot 'em ups can only be so varied without going absolutely bonkers, and I appreciate that trying to reinvent the wheel can be a bit cumbersome, and it doesn't, unfortunately, whatever reason there is for it, make up for the fact that, for me personally, this gaming experience is decidedly bland. The graphics are fine, they're not, I mean, it's not an ugly looking game by any stretch of the imagination even, but the tedium of playing this game completely made me forget about the graphics. I mean, I'm not a graphics person, if anything, I'm a sound person, but I'm still a gameplay person first and foremost. And for me, the graphics, not bad, but nothing particularly special. The sound design, the sound effects are okay, but again, I think that there's this distinct hollowness to some of the sound effects, and they tend to be very, very loud, which I'm not a huge fan of, because I mean, a lot of these games have a decent soundtrack playing, and when the soundtrack is completely and utterly overwhelmed by sound effects, it makes you wonder why the sound effects or why the music track is there in the first place. Minor gripe I have with this game. It is a personal preference, but I feel I need to mention it because why not? When you're playing a shoot 'em up, in my opinion, playing the shoot 'em ups is about shooting stuff. And when the game comes with an inbuilt auto-fire, it sort of takes 2/3 of the purpose of the game away from you. Because I mean, by just holding on fire, you will fire continuously. As opposed very long shoot 'em ups like a game like Retrograde, which I have completed on the Commodore 64, which was a nearly 7-hour constant shooting experience, could get a bit tiring. It is not something that was unmanageable. I played through that game, and if you can endure that, you can possibly endure a game like this for 10-15 minutes, whatever. But apart from the fact that it comes with an inbuilt auto-fire, something I'm not a huge fan of is the fact that I'm not allowed to outperform the auto-fire. You cannot manually press faster than the game's auto-fire can shoot, which I'm not a fan of inbuilt auto-fires in shoot 'em ups, stated that point, but as long as I can beat the auto-fires by manually pressing, I'm perfectly fine with that, because then I can decide whether my hands need a break or not, or I just prefer to just spam the button and send a wave of shots at enemies. But there's no point. You cannot. The game will not spit out more weapon shots whether you manually press or just hold down the fire button. By and large, though, the overarching impression for me in this game was that it's frustrating more than difficult. It is so incredibly tedious, and my high score name will signify exactly how I felt about it. I was halfway tired when I played this game for the video, and I'm not lying when I said I say I nearly fell asleep during the recording. So on that note, thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye for now.